This is the Barbados Today afternoon news for Tuesday, October 17. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Claire Williams. Officials of the Barbados International Business Association say the sector continues to be a major contributor to the economy despite recording significant losses. Since the start of the recession 10 years ago, the sector has lost over $200 million due to a number of factors, including the migration of some companies. But it contributes an estimated $900 million annually to the island's gross domestic product. Addressing the opening reception of International Business Week at the Apes Hill Club last evening, BIBA President Marlon Waldron said the sector is poised to continue to contribute to economic growth in the coming years. He added that international business is an integral player in Barbados's economic survival as it helps to stabilize the foreign exchange reserves, curb the brain drain, and assist in financing government's social programs such as education and public health care. In other news this afternoon, Sandals Royal Barbados is reporting bookings up to 90% ahead of the official opening in December. The confirmation comes from Public Relations Officer David Hines on the sidelines of a week-long job fair. Hines also says the company is moving ahead with plans for the expansion of the multi-million-dollar property.
For Sandals Royal Barbados, I can say we're probably about 90%. Sandals Royal, we're opening to 90%. But I want to say, that doesn't speak necessarily to Sandals, but Barbados as a whole. We think it's great for tourism for the country because, as you know, the spin-offs, taxi drivers, tours, various amenities. So that's good news for us, including airline.
Hines also reported that they have received a positive response to the job fair so far.
Up to now, as we're talking, we've seen at least 1,700 Barbadians. As you know, the job fairs for all categories of employment within the hotel. We started yesterday with our front office and laundry engineering departments, and today and Wednesday primarily we're going to do food and beverage and point of sales like resort shop, gift shop, island routes, and so on. We've been encouraged. As you know, Sandals Royal Barbados is set to open on December 20th of this year, and we will need roughly about 700 persons. So this is why the job fair is so important to fill those various roles.
The Caribbean Development Bank is bracing for a major legal battle over the sacking of one of its senior officers. Former Director of Information Technology and Solutions at the CDB, Mark Tate, is suing the bank, claiming he was unfairly dismissed on June 30th. Little is known of the circumstances surrounding Tate's departure from the financial institution, but it was evident from claims filed by the attorney-at-law Hal Gollop QC that Tate's position was made redundant, much to the IT specialist's displeasure. Tate is now challenging his termination on the grounds that the bank did not satisfy a claim of redundancy.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, touching one community at a time.
Thank you for staying with us. We are back now with news from the region, and we go to the Bahamas, where the government is moving to review its building codes in light of the damage caused by recent hurricanes. And President of the Bahamian Contractors Association is welcoming the move. We get more in this report from ZNS Network News.
I think the minister mentioned that there needs to be a consideration for at least information to architects and engineers about Title C historical data, Title C levels, whether this area is prone to flooding or not. That information should be readily available.
SAN says the guidelines are already in the Bahamas' building code, but says greater enforcement is necessary to help the country to avoid much of the devastation that occurred in the southern Bahamas during two recent storms.
The code itself is extremely good. It stands among the best inside our region, but again, we fail with enforcement, and it's the lack of personnel to enforce the code. At any one time, you could go to the Ministry of Works, and they could tell you we have hundreds of permits being reviewed. That's a lot, hundreds of permits. But you don't have hundreds of personnel.
The association's president says he also approves of plans to go after persons who build without going through the proper channels that ultimately hurts the industry. He says if the minister is serious about compliance, the Ministry of Works will require more compliance officers.
On the international scene, Britain's Prime Minister Theresa May and the European Commission Chair Jean-Claude Juncker have agreed that Brexit negotiations need to be accelerated. This comes amid concerns that there would be no Brexit deal. We get more in this Reuters report.
Agreeing to step up Brexit negotiations. British Prime Minister Theresa May met European Commission Chief Jean-Claude Juncker late on Monday for surprise talks over dinner. A short joint statement described the Brussels get-together as constructive and friendly, saying the pair agreed Brexit efforts should accelerate over the months to come. May's visit was announced less than 24 hours before they sat down. They were accompanied by their chief Brexit negotiators, David Davis and Michel Barnier. No information was given to press besides the 6-sentence communiqué. The statement made no judgment over who was to blame for the deadlock in the talks. The EU blames May for failing to detail how much she's willing to pay to settle divorce obligations. May blames the EU for refusing to talk about a future trade deal and transition until the money is settled. Some EU voices are not happy at the meeting, expressing concern that May is trying to divide the other 27 member states. Businesses in the UK are worried too, warning that without clarity on what happens after Brexit, they may start switching investments early next year. Each side now hoping the other really is as committed to speeding up negotiations as they say they are, as the time ticks down to Britain's withdrawal from the EU in March 2019.
And finally, US-backed militia in Syria have declared victory over the Islamic State in the capital Raqqa after a 4-month battle. The commander of the Raqqa campaign for the Syrian Democratic Forces says the alliance of Kurdish and Arab militias was today clearing the city's stadium of mines and any remaining militants. A formal declaration of victory in Raqqa is expected to be made once the city has been cleared of landmines and any possible Islamic State sleeper cells. That's news this afternoon. Remember, you can get more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good afternoon.